great. Well, we're going to go ahead and speed things up a little bit. You want to come up to the table, Renee, or are you good where you are?
I'm okay.
We had asked Renee to contact you. I visited with you privately a little bit the other day about we've had a complaint or two about the costs of kill repairs, evaluation of drainage crossings and
utility crossing permits.
Yeah. And wanted to call you in and visit about it, and we had the one in particular, and that was Iowa Telecom.
Yes.
With Martin Woodruff?
Yes.
Yeah, that one, the maps, it was right outside of Alma where they're taking the railroad overpass out. And is a combination of the maps not being very accurate and the DOT finding tile roughly where this was going to be crossing. So it took 2 trips down there I know of, and about 3 to 4 phone calls with Martin, the owner of Hildreth, and he wasn't quite sure exactly where things were, and it just ended up taking a lot longer than it needed to be. But like I was telling you before, if it's in a section where we have no district tile, I just write on the sheet does not cross, and it gets sent in. If it's even remotely close, I do go out and look at them just to make sure the maps are going to be as accurate as we can.
I visited with Renee a little bit, and you as well. There's clearly, I mean, I think we stand firmly behind those crossings that are involved with county district tile. There's no question. But we probably are going to and have ran into places where it doesn't even apply, that we can clearly see.
Yep.
And I guess I would suggest that if we can clearly see that we're not crossing district tile, that we don't need to extend the expense to be sent on to you.
And really, we don't need them in our office if they aren't going to be even remotely close. It gets a little bit dicey in corners of the roads. If they're going to be right at a junction of a road and our map shows a tile cutting across the road on one side and the utilities on the other, I still go out and check on those because the accuracy of the maps is just as accurate as the guy drawing them. They aren't dead set within 2 or 3 feet. It can be off by as much as 20, 25 feet on whatever side of the road. And at that point, we're starting to get a little too close for my liking anyways, on where they're at. But if we're in a section and they're doing a utility crossing that we have no district tile, even remotely close, we don't need them in our office.
That's, I guess, the ones that have come in, and again, I'm not out there looking, I've just got the maps to go by, but if the work is in a section that we don't have tile, I don't send it to you. Some of our maps are quite accurate, some of them I think aren't. And so if it looks like, I guess I just kind of try to use my best judgment as to what I think needs to go on to you. And
and some of them, the maps that these companies are sending in aren't worth the paper they're printed on.
We've seen a couple of those. We were looking at one here a while back.
And they're
awfully
you might get a north arrow, you might get a road, and that'd be about it. A lot of these I do end up calling whoever the supervisor is on the sheet, or the engineer who sends them in.
Can we, as part of the permit, suggest or encourage a much better, because the couple that we've seen were very crude.
Yeah, and it's in that permit that they're supposed to have a detailed map.
Because I've been long enough ago that I don't recall exactly what that said, but
there's a lot of them that aren't hardly, that you don't know where you're at. unless you call them.
Can we get them, on their request, can we get them a map from our pictometry file? And then have them draw on there what they're planning on doing?
And even if you had a township map that they can highlight roughly where they're gonna be and then have a handwritten map behind it, at least then you know what section you're gonna be looking at. And where north is gonna be.
Well, I think, I mean, and maybe when they call and ask for the permit, that we highlight that or something. But you are right about I've seen them very crude, and they need to be better than that.
Yeah, and I don't know, Martin must have just been a subcontractor for Iowa Telecom. But the conversations I had with them weren't the most pleasant. I was hung up on at least once.
He wasn't real thrilled about the whole permit process, period.
Yeah.
Didn't know why we had to do this, and, you know,
Again,
Yep.
when they sever district tile, you're not just affecting one, you could be affecting half a dozen landowners. And so I firmly,
A lot of those contractors, you know, they go through private tile unless you're out there watching them.
Yeah.
You know, you find out the next year
Yeah.
you get a, not district, all tile.
Yeah.
That rural water, you see them,
Mhm.
they go plowing right through it.
The other counties, Pocahontas, BV, are they?
Pocahontas and BV, I don't know if they even have a permit process.
Okay.
Calhoun
Calhoun
does.
Yeah, because we have a copy of it.
Yep.
You can't-
Yep. So,
and it's a new thing for everybody,
Yeah.
and I think that's where a lot of I think that's probably where a lot of the guff is coming from, is it's another darn permit that I have to, you know.
And that's, but it's necessary. In this case, I think it's necessary. You could sever half a dozen landowners and disrupt their drainage for a better part of a year, and there's significant damage when that happens.
They won't tell you when they do it.
Well, the worst example, or the best example to quote to those people is that blowout
Right.
on Nemaha
That's
Road
right.
happened the year before. Somebody, you know, it's a stretch, but somebody could have been killed with that. When that
Yeah.
road collapsed above that district tile, it had been severed the year before because they didn't have to come and get a permit or
Yeah.
notify us and we were there to watch it. I think that's the
Yeah, it is.
That's
Yeah,
the best
it's a good
example.
example.
You know, they said, well, listen, this is what can happen.
and technically, it's against the law to prevent somebody upstream from you drainage. And you can't purposely cut off somebody's drainage, and that's, in theory, what they're doing. If they're breaking a tile line, just because they're boring and not knowing what things are.
Greg, should that permit, the bill for that, should that have been sent directly to the master contractor, or should it have gone to Martin?
Probably Martin, and then he would forward that on. That would be his responsibility to get that
Part of
to,
his fees.
yeah.
I guess that's what all of them have been billed back to us at the courthouse, and I just forwarded them on to whoever the permittee, you know, whoever it was that filled out the permit.
Yeah.
Is where I sent everything back to. My only problem with that is that I don't know, you know, once it's billed back to the permittee, I don't have any idea in your office whether it's been paid or not. And I guess somebody will let me know if it's not,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, and
I don't know any other way.
I can get a hold of, I could ask Ivan or any of the ladies up at the Sloan Lake office how that billing is gonna be going out.
There must not have been a problem so far, because we would have known it by now.
This has been the only one that, I got a couple of phone calls right away wanting to know what it was, and once I explained to them, it sounded like everything was fine. This is the only one that I think hasn't been paid. So.
Except these two.
Two new ones?